Okay, everyone should have their history spirals out, and only their history spirals, please. Not your math or anything. On the next clean piece of paper, in the upper right-hand corner, put your first and last name and date. One more time, it's great practice because you have to have a proper heading, or it's half credit. On the far left side, raising your hand, someone tell me, what do we put on the far left side of our spiral?
Push versus pull.
Push versus pull was the name of the title today. Push versus pull. On the far left, let's look at our 2 goals today. 2 things I want you to get out of this next 50 minutes. If you can get these 2 things, which are pretty easy, your quiz score on Monday is going to be really good. You're going to like it, okay? Remember, I do have it typed on the left-hand side, which like only 2 people in the class can read. It's really up there for Miss Hoffman or Miss Maddox. When they come in, they want to see it. But here we have the big screen right here. It says class objectives for August 10th. Push versus pull. 2 things I want you to get. Number 1, students will be better able to distinguish or understand factors, which means reasons. Factors means reasons. People must consider when migrating. Okay, there's 2 quiz questions in that question right in that goal right there. One quiz question is, what's a synonym for factor? I'm going to ask that on the quiz. Go ahead and raise your hand. Who knows a synonym for factor?
Reason?
Reason. That's what I want you to put on the quiz. You might want to put that into your notes, okay? So now looking at this objective, we're going to understand or distinguish reasons. People must consider when, here's the other question on the quiz. What does migrate mean? There's like a 2-word definition for migrate, yeah?
Move.
To move. Okay? To move. Students will be able to better distinguish or understand reasons people have to consider when they move. Everyone moves. I moved from Ohio to Phoenix. Oh, gosh. You moved from class to class. People moved, new students, Caden moved to this school. Everyone moves. There's reasons why. Okay, the second thing I want you to understand before class is over, that push and pull situations happen every day in our life. And I want to just kind of show you in your life to help you remember, okay? Here we go. I'm going to start with one slide and then we're going to switch to the other one, okay? Here's our first one.
Yeah.
The camera is getting a great shot of my rear end right now. Poor camera. All right, here's the first thing in your notes. Push versus pull. And I made this kind of like a rap video featuring DJ Rural and DJ Urban.
No. Don't do this.
I'm not going to say your name on the video so your parents know who's making that noise. Okay, so we've got this really complicated term that is just way too educational for 7th grade. It's called rural to urban migration. We're going to break it down into pieces and figure out what that means, okay? Here we go. Let's break it up. What does rural mean? Here comes a simple definition of rural you might want to write down. Rural means basically life in the country or countryside. Life in the country. I prefer life in the country. I'm more of a country person. I'm more rural. All right? Let's move on. Here's that definition again. Don't look at that black and white thing too long or you will get dizzy like I did last hour. So what does urban mean? Most of it you probably said in your head. It's the opposite. Urban means life in the city. Side note, you don't need to know this. Urban is also the name of Ohio State's football coach. Urban Meyer. Living legend, will be in the College Football Hall of Fame one day. Because we win all our games. Urban is life in the city. Rural is life in the country. So here's a question for us. Raise your hand if you'd like to share. I know you probably like both, but which one are you like slightly more or a whole bunch more? Which one do you prefer, John?
Urban.
Why?
I don't. Well,
What is it that the urban has that you like?
not opposite like.
No bugs?
Yeah. It's
Okay. Viddy, what do you prefer?
I prefer rural life because, living in the countryside is awesome. There's stars, you can see stars at night. It's just so
So
peaceful.
you would call it peaceful? That's what I was good. Sydney, what would you say?
I like urban life because they have, I don't know, I just love being in cities because there's lots to do there, like going shopping, going out to eat, or hanging out with friends.
Good, I've heard that one. Plenty to do. How about you, Chase?
Country's rural because you get to hang out with your fellow rednecks.
So maybe slightly redneck. Ava.
Urban, I like a lot of people and a lot of cars where I live.
Okay, so again, I told you I'm more rural. I love the country. I wish I could live on like 10 acres, let my kids just roam around in the field, maybe have a tree house, just kind of do whatever you want. I know you're safe. I know you're somewhere on my property. At the same time, I do like urban a little bit. I mean, when I go on vacation, I don't go to a rural spot. When I go to San Diego, I'm usually in San Diego, urban San Diego, because there are things to do, but I can only stand like 2 or 3 days of it, and then I need to go back to my peaceful, big lot of land country, okay? So let's look at this definition, this word again, I'm sorry. Rural to urban migration. We should be able to figure this out now. Rural country to urban city, migration basically means moving, okay? Here's its simple, I mean not a simple, it's a little bit longer, but go ahead and get it. Rural to urban migration means the moving of people from one location to another. It happens all the time. I told you it happens in school, class to class to class to class. It happened from me. I was from Ohio, went to school in Philadelphia, moved to Phoenix to be here. So rural to urban migration is simply the movement of people from one location to another. We'll get back to the gingerbread man, so here's where I'm going to switch it to the other presentation. But does anyone raise your hand have a question over rural or urban to rural migration? Who can raise your hand and tell me a synonym for factor?
Reason?
It's a reason. Who can tell me the 2-word definition of migrate? Yo.
To move.
To move. Okay, let's take us to the second piece of this. Okay, so there's 2 reasons why people migrate. 2 reasons typically that people migrate, good. We probably know these, but let's go ahead and get them in. One reason people move, one factor is called a push factor. It's a push factor. Here it goes again. There's that synonym. Any factor or reason that makes a person or group want to leave or have to leave. Something's really not good there. It's a push factor. Here is the dead giveaway. Like the other day I was working with my son. He's learning odd and even numbers. And I don't practice this way. I don't say, no, what's number 2? Odd or even? Like, Tim, come on. Noah, what's number 7? Odd or even? I was giving him numbers like, Noah, odd or even? 387. Noah, odd or even? 1019. Because it doesn't matter. There's a dead giveaway, right? All you have to really care about is the last number, right? Here's the dead giveaway for push and pull. A push factor typically has a negative sounding word in front of it. If it sounds bad, it's a push factor. Okay, if it sounds bad, it's a push factor. And then raising your hand, if we were to do a number line, you're welcome, Miss Endicott. If we were to do a number line, would a push factor be more on the right side of the 0 or on the left side of the 0?
Left side.
It's on the left side of the 0. It's negative, it's bad, it's pushing you away, it's forcing you to move. Any questions on a push factor? No? Okay. So let's go to the other factor, which we probably already know what it is, but booyah, pull factor. I even used the same exact wording for you. Any factor, which means reason, that makes a person or group want to move to a place. There's something really good about it. Better there than where you are. Oh, I can't forget. What's another synonym for move? Yeah?
Migrate?
Ah, thank you. Want to move, want to migrate. Here we go again. A pull factor typically has a positive sounding word in front of it. And there's the number line. Obviously, a pull factor would be on the right side of the zero. It's a good thing. Okay. Who do I would like to have Ian. Can I borrow you? Ian. Put your both feet in that box, looking that way, okay? Do that. So this is Ian. He is considering migrating to another location. I am going to be the factor. I need someone to raise your hand and give me a push factor. Any push factor. What is it?
Poor education.
Poor education, okay? So you're considering moving, but there's a poor economy. So I'm going to show you a visual to help you remember that push factors are bad, okay? I'm the push factor. I'm poor education, is that what you said?
I said both of them.
I'm poor education. This is how you remember it's bad. Push factor. Did you like that? Did I push you away? You did not like it, right? Because I am what? Poor education, right? Come back to the box. We're about to get real close here in a minute. Someone raise your hand and tell me any pull factor.
Good jobs.
Good jobs. Ready? You're Ian, considering migrating. I'm good jobs. Wasn't that more enjoyable? Kind of. Push is bad, pull is good, because he got to dance with his history teacher. Okay? So go ahead and do this real fast, please. Go ahead and make this small chart. We're going to do more than 4 boxes, but do 4 to start. On the left side, write push factor. On the right side, write pull factor. I'm going to give you some examples. Just raise your hand and say, Flegel, you've taught this so well, I know the answer. Or you could say, Flegel, you taught this last year, I remember it last year, I know the answer. Ready, raise your hand if you know this. Is this push or pull? That should be the name of this game.
Yeah.
This game is now officially called, is this called push or pull? Raise your hand. Let's look at that first word real fast. Lack. That sounds bad. But lack of what? Lack of education?
It's bad. Push factor.
It's a push. So in your push side, put lack of education. For 95% of human beings, lack of education is bad. Don't think it's good. Oh, good. Homework, don't you? Yeah, lack of education. I love this place. No job. And if you have no job, you're not going to college. Wait, other way around. Okay, first word is more. So this sounds good. Unless it says more poverty. More religious freedom. Sid.
It's a pull factor.
It's a pull, so go ahead and write it into your pull side. That was more religious freedom. Push or pull. Max.
It's pull.
Yeah, this sounds bad. Lower. Oh gosh, lower? Oh, taxes. That's a pull. That's a good thing. You guys don't have to worry about them right now, but I promise you it's good. Next, push or pull. No. Wow. That kind of gave it away. Healthcare, Spence.
Push.
That's a push. Especially if you're like a single parent or a single mom, single dad, and you have to raise kids and your job maybe doesn't give you health care to help take care of your kids. This is not good. It's going to push you to maybe find another job or something. Next, push or pull. Hope for a better job, especially since maybe you don't have a job. Hope for a better job.
It would be pull.
That's a pull. Write it in the pull section. High. That sounds good. Ooh, a lot.
Ooh.
Oh, rate of war. High rate of war. Push or pull? Yes.
Push.
Push. We're out of here. We can hear this in the news all the time. The poor people in Syria, a lot of countries in Africa are in the middle of a civil war, fighting amongst themselves, just like the American Civil War, and they are being pushed to get out of that country and go anywhere else that's better than that. High rate of war, definitely push. I think that's our last one for this one. Yeah. Okay, so let me do what I said I was going to do. We're going to flip back to the other one. I think we left off at the gingerbread man. Okay, so we don't need to get this. This is all kind of review. People migrate from one place to another for two reasons. We know push. We know what it is. We don't need to get that. There are some examples of a push. Pull. Sometimes for money, better jobs, better education. We know what a pull factor is. Let's get to this. Raise your hand if you think you know the answer. Now the bubble up here, I'm going to read the bubble, but sometimes part of the bubble I'm not going to read, so only pay attention to the part that I kind of read you. Raise your hand and let me know which one you think it is, and then we're done with this and we'll move on. A friend offered me a job and a place to live in the city. Push or pull, Sonia? That sounds like a good thing. Forgot to tell you, I put sound effects in. Raise your hand if you know this one. I was forced, there's the key word, off my land. I had to leave.
Push back.
Push. I moved into the city for the nightlife. That sounds like they want to, maybe for the entertainment or something. Max?
Pull.
It's a pull. Must have forgot on that one. I am gonna read this one actually. My sons are ill. There are no doctors in our village, but there are hospitals in the city.
Push and pull.
Could be push and pull. Let's really just. You're right. I was kind of.
Push.
Whoa. Our village was washed away by floods.
Push back.
That's definitely a push, and that's definitely a situation that some countries face. And I'm not going to read this whole one. I'm just going to read the first sentence here. My children had no chance to go to school in the country. They had no chance to go to school. Sonia?
Push.
Push. Now it's not going to say that. It's going to say push and pull. But remember, I didn't read the whole question. If you're push though, that's it's right. I don't know what that's. Okay, so here's what I want to do. I want to give you like a 1-minute talk break. I've been talking for a while. 1-minute talk break. Do not put your history planners away. I want to look at this real fast before I give you the 1-minute talk break. 2 goals today. To understand factors of why people migrate. What is another word for factor real fast? 1.
Reason.
Reason. What is the definition of migrate?
To move.
To move. What is rural?
Country.
Country life. What is urban?
City life.
What is the first name of the Ohio State Buckeyes football coach?
Urban life.
Urban. What is a push factor?
Pollution.
Okay, what's the definition of a push factor?
A reason to move away.
A reason that you're forced to move away. What's the definition of a pull? Remember Ian?
Any reason that Make someone want to come.
Good, it makes you want to come. What is any example you can think of a push?
A push means like with war.
War, more war. What's any example of a pull?
Chicken sandwich.
What's any example of a pull?
Low taxes.
Low taxes. Okay, very good. I think we are good with number 1. We're going to take a 1-minute break, and we're going to come back with number 2 and figure out how push and pull factors are actually in our life. Okay, 1-minute break, go. Okay, so we're going to do the second part here. I'm going to kind of show you how push-pull happens in everyday life, in your life, in my life, your parents' life, everyone's life. So I already asked you to put dividers up. That's good. It's semi-private. Now, if you go blabbing your answers after class, that's on you. I just want you to kind of have that divider up. I'm going to give you a situation, and it might be push. I'm going to give you a situation, it might be pull. Okay, in your spirals, I just want you to use like bullets. Oh, here's one answer. Oh, here's like 2 answers per question. That's it. Okay? Here's number 1. You don't have to write the questions, just maybe with bullets. Number 1. We're talking about friendships here. Friendships. What factors would push you away from a friend? So think about 2 or 3 friends in your life. Maybe here at school, maybe on an outside team, maybe at a church or something. What's something those friends could do that would push you and say, you know what? I don't know if I can be this person's friend anymore. For me, I'll give you an example. Number 1 is honesty. If the person cannot be honest with me, I can't really be in that circle of friends. So what's 1 or 2 things, just put bullets, what's 1 or 2 things that would push you away from a certain friend? Like I said, for me, honesty. Laziness is kind of something like, I like to work hard and I like to play hard, but when it's work time, I like to get around people that work hard like me. Maybe it's something they have in common with you. I mean, if I meet someone who's an Ohio State fan, they've got a well, that's a pull factor, isn't it? Yeah. Never mind. Scratch that one. I'll say that one next. 1 or 2 things that would push you away from a friend. The guy is, yeah. Okay, so here's the flip side to that question. What are some factors that would pull you to a new friend? Okay, so like Caden, you're coming to a brand new school here. What are you looking for? And you don't have to answer it. What are you looking for to create a group of friends? What are some characteristics? Honesty. For me, honesty. Work ethic. I can't deal with laziness. Obviously, now I'll talk about it. If someone's got like a sports interest in common with me, that might pull me. If they're a runner, maybe they pull you. Just 1 or 2. If you have 3, I mean, I'm not going to get upset if you put 3, but just a few. What would pull you toward a friend? Go for it. Okay. And we're going to do 2 more. Each one will have a push-pull. 2 more. Each one would have a push-pull. Let's go with this one. What factors would push you away from a certain job? Okay, so pretend you're already working somewhere. What about that job would you say, this stinks, I'm done with this job? Going back to my days in Ohio, one of my first jobs was a busboy. I went around and pushed the cart, and I got to clean your table with a smile. I remember the tables that there were like kids always at that table, and they always had graham crackers like crushed into the table, and I had to scrub for like 10 minutes. One thing for me is I always went home smelling like those dirty dishes. That pushed me away. I'm like, I'm done with this job. Another thing for me was they stopped me at 40 hours. So if I did want more hours to make more money, they stopped you at 40 and you couldn't work any more that week. I want to work more. Like it's a break. I have more time to work. They wouldn't let you. They cut you off at 40. An obvious one would be the pay. How many of you put the pay? That's obvious. That's a good answer. What would push you away from a certain job? And then here's the flip side. What would pull you away from a job? Think of your dream job. Maybe you want to be a computer designer. Why?
Pull you away.
What's pulling you? Maybe you want to be an athlete. Why? What's pulling you to be an athlete? It's kind of the opposite, but maybe there's something different. Maybe you want to be a soccer player. Why? What's pulling you? The last one we will do is this one. That one. Last one. Okay, here we go. We're talking push here again. So let's think a high school, or you could think college. But what would push you away from a certain high school? Some of you guys, I mean, all of you are going to high school in 2 years. So let's say you don't like PV. What's pushing you away from PV? Why don't you like PV? Maybe you're going to Pinnacle. Maybe you might have to go to Pinnacle and you don't want to. What's pushing you away from Pinnacle? What would make you not want to go to a certain high school or university? I clearly get pushed away from Michigan University. I got reasons. Colors are terrible, education system's poor, and their athletic teams are terrible. What's pushing you away from a certain high school? What's pushing you away from a certain, maybe they don't teach the degree that you want to get. That's a push. Maybe the tuition is just way too high. Maybe the college is out of state and you don't want to go out of state. You want to stay home for college. One or two, pushing you away from a high school or pushing you away from a college. And then here's the flip side. What would pull you? You do want to go to Pinnacle. Okay, why? What's great about Pinnacle? I think one of the top two answers are you have friends that go there. That's a pull. And another one probably obviously is that you live close to it. Ohio State pulls me. Scarlet and gray are like the two best colors in the whole Crayola box. Incredible education system. Athletic teams win in every sport, and it's one of the top 5 alumni bases in the United States, and it was ranked in the top 30 for best American universities, just to name a few. Pull factors. All right, so again, I don't expect you to share these. That's why we put the dividers up. They're not uber incredibly personal, but kind of. If you share them, that's on you, okay? Any last questions over today's lessons? I feel like we've got our 2 objectives. Let's see if this shows up on the video camera when I replay this. Any questions over objective number 2 and how it kind of happens in our life? Here's what I really wish, and it's impossible. But every time we migrate or every time we move or every time we're in a new situation, I wish we had to, hold on, before I decide, can I just have like 3 minutes to make a push-pull chart? Can I figure out the bads of this? Can I figure out the goods of this? But sometimes life goes so fast, especially for me, 2 jobs, 2 kids, like sometimes I make decisions so fast and I don't really have a chance to think about it. If you come across a major situation, and I'm gonna work on this too, you can do it if you want. If you come across a major situation, maybe just take 1 minute before you and I blurt out an answer. And in our head, maybe make a push-pull factor. Should I be doing it? Or should I not? Okay? So that's how push-pull factors are kind of in our life. A small round of applause. Thank you, both of you. All right. So here's what we got. Turn this off first.